But the thing is with Dyer and Sanchez, right? Dyer makes that terrible mistake to let Traore in 1-on-1 with the keeper. If Traore scores that, it's the same as basically last season. You know, Dyer put in good performances last season and one mistake let him down. Dyer put in a great performance yesterday and one mistake let him down. If that goes in, everyone's slating him today, right?
Probably, but I would say it was a different kind of scenario, whereas last season Dyer would be making a mistake in his own penalty box. This time it was more Dyer trying to be positive, and he just he overcooked it basically. He tried to take on Neves. He should have just released it early and got back in position, but he tried something, didn't come off.
At the end of the day, though, a costly mistake is a costly mistake, right?
Yeah, but you've got to notice a difference. One's a costly mistake in his own penalty box because he's got so much defending to do, and one's near the halfway line because he's trying to be positive. So look, I'm not going to stop. I understand what you're saying, but I'm not going to. I think there is a difference in terms of how the mistake came about. And I think it was because Nuno wants us to be more aggressive and wants us to push higher and intercept the ball and go after instead of waiting deep in our own penalty box for things. And I think that's a bit of a difference, and that's where the mistake bore out. But hopefully he can learn from that. And it's still very early on in the season, and hopefully that'll be one of the few mistakes he makes. But I think defensively, yeah, apart from that, Wolves struggled to really get a big opening. I know Jimenez had a chance in the first half from the edgy area, which went just over. Apart from that, I thought there was so many blocks in there. Everyone was willing to put their body on the line for the shirt, and that was the most impressive thing. Everyone was working really, really hard and made sure we contained Wolves and made sure we hung on to that clean sheet, and it felt like we earned that clean sheet.
Definitely, I completely agree with that. And in terms of, let's talk about Ollie Skipp, because he's coming from Norwich, a season in the Championship. Obviously, had a great season with Norwich winning the title there in the Championship. He's come in for Tottenham, played against a Man City midfield and a midfield yesterday of Ruben Neves, who was absolutely quality yesterday, and the Wolves midfield, who, you know, Wolves played well yesterday. And you've got to say, Skipp has come in against these two top teams now in the Premier League, and he doesn't look out of place whatsoever, does he?
No, and
he's completely at home.
He does, and he looks like he's competing. He's battling in there. He's not being overawed by any players. He's willing to put a foot in. You know, it's one thing kind of being that hard-working midfielder in the Championship and dominating midfield. And wouldn't say he's dominating, but he's definitely competing, and he doesn't look out of place, as you say. And he got really unlucky, I felt, to be booked in the first half. I thought it was a great challenge.
Great
challenge on Traore.
That was.
Great challenge
Criminal
on Traore.
to book him there, really.
And I thought after that, he's on a yellow card. He didn't go off, did he? He stayed on for the whole game. And it was a very disciplined performance, wasn't it? I felt like to be on a yellow card for that amount of time in that position in the central midfield against people like Neves and Moutinho, who are tricky customers, who you're going to have to get tight to. I felt like he'd put in a very disciplined performance, and he, again, gave us a good platform to build on, and definitely with the counter-attacks that we were able to make in the second half, he was definitely a big part of that, and it was able to set them up. The only thing I worry about a bit is I'm just worried about how we were in possession for a lot of the time. I don't know if it was Højbjerg and Skip's fault, and Dele as well, I had to put him in there, about why we lacked so much control in this game and why we weren't able to get our foot on the ball and you know, play some quick interchanges and passes and stuff like that. But there seemed to be either a lack of willingness to get on the ball in the centre of the park, or just a lack of players trusting them with the ball to play the passes into the centre. I don't know what way around it was, but the amount of times we had to go long was definitely an issue we need to sort out.
Yeah, and it felt like for the most part we were just lumping it up there for the majority of the game, weren't we?
Into Son.
Yeah, exactly. I think if it's Kane up there, it's a different story. But I think when it's Son, Mora, and Bergwijn up there, I think you're pretty much fighting a losing battle trying to punt it up there, and it just comes back all the time.
Although Lucas isn't terrible in the air.
No, you're right. He's not. But
you're right. You're right, and that's why we looked so much better when Kane came on.
Yeah,
I think we did look a lot better. And also, I've got to say, as much as I didn't think Lo Celso was amazing when he came, but what he did do was gave us a bit more control midfield. I felt like he was coming on and actually doing some quick interchanges and willing to pass the ball and keep the ball on the deck, and that was really, really positive. I was really happy about that. I don't think he came on and did it amazingly. I'm not saying he came on and was amazing and created chances. I don't think that, but he did come on and allow us to get the foot of the ball on the deck a lot more, and we weren't forced to go long all the time. And it felt like we were much more willing to pass it into Lo Celso than we were to a Højbjerg or a Skip or a Dele. And that's the thing with Dele. As much as I love him, and as much as I think he was a great, he put in such a great shift for us yesterday, really did. Him in central midfield, he frustrates me sometimes when he's on the ball, because someone like Lo Celso, like even on Thursday night, right, when everyone says he had a bad game, the amount of times he got the ball and was able to twist quickly away from a man and create space and make a quick decision or something like that and go into the space. Dele doesn't quite do that. He kind of looks for a nutmeg, or he tries to take someone on all the time, and he doesn't have that kind of good first touch into space.
Or he just dallies on the ball and loses it, because so he just takes too long to make a decision.
You can't do that
Dele.
in centre mid. You can't do that.
I
in
agree,
centre
and
mid.
he takes I completely agree, because I was frustrated with Dele yesterday, because for all the dogged hard work that he did, for all the challenges he put in, for all the blocked shots he put in, for all the tackles he put in, I thought he played really well yesterday, Dele. But I think for all those things that he did, there was always a time where he got the ball in the middle of the park and someone would come and nick the ball off him from behind, or where he just takes too long to make a decision.
I'm never comfortable when someone plays the ball into Dele in central midfield. If a defender has the ball and he plays it into Dele, it doesn't make me comfortable, because I always have a feeling there's a decent chance the ball will get nicked off him or he'll lose it. And he doesn't protect the ball that well. I feel like he doesn't protect it very well when he's in centre mid. And that's something, I'm not saying this is something that he can't improve on or he can get better at, because he has so much quality with his awareness and his dribbling ability that he can improve that aspect if he plays centre mid consistently. I just think at the moment it's something that's lacking in his game when he's in that position, and it can be quite frustrating.
But he is showing a lot more fight and grit to his game, that's for sure. Definitely in the past 2-3 years. I mean, this is the best I've seen him play.
Yeah, and that's definitely something that he was impressive at yesterday. The amount of blocks he made from shots and stuff like that, the amount of times he was right side of Neves or Moutinho, and able to block passes and even make tackles and set us up on counter attacks. And let's not forget, he was the one making a late run into the box for the goal, which I have seen again. I must say, he did definitely buy it, and he definitely did. I slowed it down. Yeah, he jumped into Sarr. I didn't see it quite first time round, but I have to admit he did. I still think it was a penalty, but I do think he bought it a lot more than I originally thought he did.
What did you think of the Wolves proposed penalty that never happened?
Yeah, I mean, I think Skip got lucky, but I don't think it's a penalty. I think the VAR was right not to intervene in that instance. It was kind of thigh on thigh contact and very minimal. I don't think there's enough in there to say it was a definite penalty. So I think the referee doesn't I think people need to realise that VAR is a different beast than it was last year, and it's not going to start interfering as much in subjective decisions as it was last season. So the referee's decision, unless it's a clear and obvious, unless it's like blatantly obvious that the referee's made a big error, then VAR's basically not going to interject. And I agree with VAR not interjecting in either one yesterday. I think there was enough doubt in the Dele one to stick with the referee's decision, and there's enough doubt to stick with the referee's decision with the Skip one as well. So I think in that instance, it was probably spot on.
Got a super chat here from Dark Sun G. Oh, we just lost it there. 1 second. Dark Sun G21 saying it's nice to scrape 3 points. You need results like these to get top 4. Look at Liverpool last season. They scraped 3 points and got top 4. It's a good point. I mean, last season we went to Wolves. Wolves outplayed us, and we were 1-0 up, and then they equalised last few minutes, didn't they? The last 10 minutes, Wolves.
I think it was like 5 minutes to go, or so, wasn't it? Yeah.
So I mean, it was a bit similar yesterday.
I think last season was a bit different, actually, only because we carried a lot more threat in the game today than we did last season. That's one thing. But on the flip side, I feel like for Wolves had a lot of possession but carried less threat last season than they did this season, in a weird way. It was actually a bit more of a dead game last season. We took an early lead within 2 minutes and Ndombele scored, and then it was a very dead game. We barely created anything. I remember Reguilon had one chance in the first half, and then it was pretty much dead. And then basically what will happen was Wolves were basically passing it side to side, and they weren't threatening. They were barely getting the ball in the box or anything up until they scored. I remember after they scored, there was a few chances they had, but this game was a bit different. I felt like in this game, Wolves had more threat, but so did Spurs. So it's a bit of give and take.
I still felt like I still had that kind of feeling within inside me watching that last 20 minutes of the game yesterday, feeling like a goal's coming, goal's coming,
Wouldn't have surprised us, wouldn't it?
And we said this countless times. How many times have we said that last season?
Mm-hmm.
Look, coming into the last game, a goal's coming, a goal's coming, a goal's coming, but that goal never came, and you've got to kind of say that Dyer, Tanganga, Reguilon, basically the whole back line, Sanchez, Skip, Højbjerg, even Dele Alli as well, contributed so much to how kind of toothless really Wolves were, because they were getting in good positions. Yes, their end product wasn't great, but our defensive players, the players I just mentioned, was just such dogged work to keep them out. And I would say, though, against a better side, we probably would have lost or drawn that game.
Potentially, but you also got to say, where did they get their goal from last season? It was a corner, near post header goal. I don't think I was concerned one bit yesterday about a set piece going in. We were rock solid from set pieces. Yeah. There was not, I can't remember one really good opportunity or one opportunity that Wolves made from a set piece yesterday. In fact, we probably created the best chance from a set piece when Dyer had that header at the near post. So that was one thing that was definitely impressive. I think, as you say, the defending was really resolute. I felt Sanchez and Dyer put their body on the line time and again. How many crosses Wolves put in, and they didn't create one chance from a cross. The only chance they had was from a through ball from Neves. All the crosses they put in were dealt with from the centre-backs. Tanganga, as much as he got roasted a few times from Adama Traore, I felt did a really good job when he was asked to be in the penalty area and defend things. Mm-hmm. And obviously the midfield three did a great job shielding the back four, because everything pretty much came from the sides. And I felt like that's why Neves and Moutinho got quite a bit of joy, because I felt like Højbjerg and Dele, who were the two wide centre mids, were forced out wide so often to kind of help Tanganga and Reguilon on the fullbacks, because they were outnumbered all the time because of Wolves' wing backs and wide forwards. That was a big problem which we struggled to address, but because Dele and Højbjerg are the ones going out wide, kind of allowed the defence to be compact in the centre, and that's probably why we were so resolute.
All right. Let's talk, just before we get on to the press conference, let's talk about the attacking three: Steven Bergwijn, Lucas Moura, Heung-min Son. Heung-min Son, I mean, he did get a bit of an injury apparently before the game. He went down the touchline a bit earlier. In your opinion, do you think he was playing like he was playing with an injury?
It's hard to say. He definitely struggled throughout the game, but it's hard to say whether he struggled because he's a small forward up against three big centre backs, and he just wasn't getting much joy physically, especially when the ball's coming long to him. That one burst through the heart of the Wolves defence in the second half showed to me that he still had the ability to outpace, to burn Cody for pace, even if he was carrying an injury. And I felt like he wouldn't be able to do that if he was seriously injured. But he definitely did struggle throughout the game. He wasn't able, and at the end of that run, he didn't get a shot off. He kind of went for the easy option and tried to pass it, and it was a bad mistake from him. And he didn't look at his sharpest. There was one moment as well when Bergwijn had a shot and he followed up with a shot, and it wasn't his sharpest finish. It was straight at the keeper. But yeah, he didn't look at his sharpest, but it's hard to know exactly why that was. Maybe it was an injury. Maybe that was why. But I felt like how the team was set up wasn't how we were playing, wasn't also playing to his strengths. We weren't able to get him in behind as much as we would like, and we weren't able to feed passes into him. And that was probably also a reason why he looked a bit out of sorts. But you got to say, the front three, I think you got to say Lucas had a day off pretty much. Yeah. I don't think he did anything, not one thing. I don't think he did.
No, but I mean, this always happens with Lucas, doesn't it? With that performance he put in against Man City, one of the best players on the pitch on the day. He always follows up a performance like that with a performance like he does at Wolves, and that's the problem with Lucas Moura, isn't it?
Inconsistency.
Because however much we want to big up Lucas Moura, however much we give him praise, he always backs it up with a performance like that.
Yeah, and that was the most disappointing thing. He just pretty much had a game off.
Yeah,
just literally did. I don't remember him dribbling past anyone, which is his forte. The only thing he did do, to be fair, which was decent, was he played that through ball to Bergwijn in the first half, which Bergwijn should have done better with when he could have squared it to Dele. Apart from that, didn't do anything. He was so he was so anonymous. Defensively as well, I actually felt like he could have done a lot more. I felt like a few times he was had a chance to put in the challenge, and especially on Adama Traore, and he backed out and he was a bit weak, and that was very disappointing from Lucas Moura's point of view. So I felt like he, honestly, he could have been hooked at half time how bad he was, which was a real frustration. But hopefully it's just one of those games where you just accept it and you move on, and it's just really frustrating.
Look, everyone's allowed a bad game, and we just don't want it to become, well, it already has become like that, but this is a new season. You don't really want to mark people down on previous seasons, do you? It's just a new season. Yes, one bad performance, we won the game. You just put it to the side and move on, and hopefully he can improve, but we can't have too many performances like that.
Yeah, definitely our best attacker was Bergwijn.
Oh, by far.
Definitely he was our best attacker.
That little skill on the side to get it past those 2-3 players was naughty.
Yeah, and that was a really great piece of skill, and he found Harry Kane as well, and Kane couldn't finish it. And then he also had a great assist from Hugo. He got on the end of that and was able to get a shot off, cut inside and get a shot off, and Saar forced into a good save. First half, he also broke the lines and should have found Dele Alli at the back post. Was actually quite poor this time, too hesitant.
That's the problem with Steven Bergwijn, isn't it?
But he's improving, I feel.
By far. I think he is improving, but he's still very frustrating. Mm-hmm. He's still, however good he was yesterday, he was still extremely frustrating, though, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was, and He really should have ended yesterday with a goal and assist or something, at least a goal contribution, and he'll probably be disappointed he didn't. But you get the feeling, once that first goal goes in, then it will kind of open the floodgates, I'm hoping.
Yeah.
And he's definitely started the season a lot more confidently, a lot more involved in the attack.
Past defenders.
Yeah. So I definitely think he was our most dangerous attacker yesterday for sure.
Yeah, I completely agree.